Welcome back to The Lead, live from Trenton, New Jersey. In the World Lead, he was behind the unthinkable spectacle of death on September 11th, 2001. But now, in just released documents, the admitted 9/11 mastermind, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, is now saying that violence is not the answer to spreading Islam throughout the world. For 8 years, Mohammed has been held in Guantanamo Bay waiting for trial, and we now know furiously working on a 3-part manifesto detailing his views on America and the motivation behind al-Qaeda. This is his first communication with the outside world since 2009, when he was accused of terrorism by the U.S. government. In these latest statements, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed says the spreading of Islam cannot be accomplished with violence. Quote, the Holy Quran forbids us to use force as a means of converting, and, quote, truth and reality never comes by muscles and force, but by using the mind and wisdom. The manifesto was published by the Huffington Post just a short time ago. Reilly of the Huffington Post is here with an in-depth look. Ryan, thanks for being with us. Back in 2009, Mohammed struck a very different tone and spoke of violence justified by Islam. Quote, our religion is a religion of fear and terror to the enemies of God, the Jews, Christians, and pagans. With God's willing, we are terrorists to the bone. His more recent comments obviously don't renounce his past actions. So what exactly has changed here?
Certainly. Well, it's not entirely clear. You know, the 9/11 attack certainly is not something he's distancing himself from. He says that specifically in the document, that is something that was justified because they were defending the Muslim people. But he's not really, he doesn't really have like a very coherent narrative for his beliefs. And it's clear, I think, he's sort of working through these issues after being exposed to interactions, I think, with his legal team on a regular basis and coming into contact with Christians pretty regularly. So it's certainly not backing away at all from his attacks and the justification he believes for them.
Ryan.
I have audio. Don't have audio.
Ryan, it's Joe Johnson. It's Joe Johnson, Washington. Jake's mic has gone out, and we're going to try to get back to him in just a minute. What was the biggest takeaway for you from this interview? Was there something special and unique and different that you haven't seen before in covering cases?
Well, it's interesting because I think he talks about so many issues, and he's very clearly up to speed on sort of current American affairs. He talks about same-sex marriage. He obviously opposes it. He goes on to talk about the Catholic Church's sex scandal, suggesting that perhaps the reason it happened was that children were drunk on communion wine. So this is a wide array of issues that he weighs in on. He also takes a shot at the military suicide rate, suggesting that the people his fighters, I guess, in Afghanistan, are happier because they are following Islam, as even compared to American soldiers who, he says, use their PlayStations and then go home and commit suicide. So it's a wide array of issues, including the overcrowding of U.S. prisons that he seems to address. So it's just sort of interesting to hear that perspective coming from someone who has claimed responsibility and is believed to be behind the September 11th attacks, as well as the slaughter of Daniel Pearl.
Ryan, it's Jake Tapper. Sorry, my mic went out there. Joe, appreciate your picking up where I left off. After his comments were made public in 2009, a judge ruled that no more of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed's comments would be released. So the government's releasing these documents now? This was allowed?
They're not releasing them, but what did happen was last month a judge made a ruling that essentially allowed this to happen, and some of the people who this statement was sent out to his defense attorneys as well as the entire courtroom, including I believe the judge. So this is a document that was unclassified, but the decision last month got away from the idea that everything that the detainees said was presumed classified, allowing someone who received this letter to be more comfortable to make it public.
All right, Ryan Reilly of the Huffington Post, thank you so much. Very interesting and chilling story in some ways.